Hiya then folks, welcome to Boating on a Budget with me, the tight Yorkshireman, here in our project narrowboat, Leander Lady. We've owned this boat for about 12 months now, and during that time we've stripped her right back to a bare shell, and then we're now about 3/4 of the way through rebuilding her. Once she's fully rebuilt, she will be our full-time liveaboard home, and we'll basically be living off-grid on the inland waterways of Great Britain. A fantastic way of living, but one thing that you learn very quickly is power. You need power. That's not power in the engine, we only go 4 miles an hour. That's power to run fridges, lights, charging laptops, charging phones, etc, etc. As we've been building the project, we've put 4 solar panels on the roof. Each one of those is 100 watts, and then under this back deck we've got 3 leisure batteries, and we're soon going to increase that to 5. That's going to give us a massive battery bank that should pretty much give us the power that we need all year round. The solar panels obviously only provide that power for part of the year. Some of the time we will have to run our engine, hopefully by being out and about cruising. There are lots of fancy ways of calculating how much power you're going to use, but that's all way too complicated for people that are winging it. So we just basically got the best system we could. You can never be too sure then that we've got enough. Having set all that system up, we were then recently contacted by a company called Jackery, who make what they call a solar generator. We'll come to the details of the product shortly, but if you do watch a lot of narrowboat vlogs, you've probably already seen this product being reviewed because Jackery have sent it out to a lot of people, which to me says 2 things. First of all, they're quite new to this country. Although the company was established in 2012, they've mainly been over in America and Canada, that kind of area. So they're wanting to get their product known over in Europe and UK. By sending a lot of these out to a lot of people, to me says that they're very confident in their product. Because if you've got a rubbish product, you're not going to send it out to hundreds of people to review it online. And I must state at this point, we've not been paid to make this promotion, and there's absolutely no caveats about the fact that we've got to give it a good review or anything. It's simply sent to us, we get to test it and review it. We do then get to keep the piece of equipment. However, there's absolutely no question of us having to give it a good review. So we can review it exactly as we see it. And trust me, as a tight Yorkshireman, that's exactly what I'll be doing. As part of the review, we're obviously going to look at things like how it charges up with the solar panel that's provided, and you can charge it up by plugging it into the mains, so you can just take it with you if you're going anywhere. We'll also test what you can run off it. For instance, how long could we run our laptop off it? One of the key things I'm going to be looking at though is it really a piece of equipment that you need on a narrowboat? Bearing in mind we've already said we've got 400 watts of solar, and we're going to have 5 batteries under there. What would this bring to the party? As a little side note to using it on the narrowboat, we have actually just recently bought a little van that we're going to convert into a camper van. And I'm wondering, would this bit of equipment be the answer to not having to install a full solar setup on there? But that's a question for later on. Next step then is to get it set up and get it charging. And from what I've seen, that is really easy, and we'll put that to the test because I am a complete and utter technophobe. If I get a new phone or a new laptop or camera or anything, first thing I have to do is give it to one of the kids, get them to set it up, and then pass it back to me and say, Dad, you press that button, and that's what I do from there. Let's take this down to the front of the boat then, because down there it's just about in the sunshine. He says the sun's behind all the clouds. But when it comes back out from behind the clouds, we should be able to get the solar panel in the sun and start getting some charge into the machine. Now I've finished my brew, I've got both hands available so we can have a good look round all this. So let's get it open first of all. Just slip through there. I must say, just for complete clarity as well, today's date is the 23rd of September and I'm starting to film this at about 9:30 in the morning. So just for weather-wise and things, it's sort of a cloudy day with a bit of sunshine that's basically forecast like that for the rest of the day and to be honest the coming days, because obviously the test we're going to do on this is probably going to go over about a week or so that we can charge it up, discharge it, use it for different things. So weather-wise, like I said, we're expecting over these kind of days sort of sunshine and cloud. First off then, as I open it up, let's have a look. We just open it there. There's a little bag of goodies. Let's have a look in the bag of goodies first. I'm guessing, yeah, that's a 240 volt charger. So like we said, we can charge it up before we take it out anywhere, just from a normal 240 volt mains. And then basically it would just be a mobile carry pack. So that's part number one. Part number two, I think, is basically the equivalent again. That goes into a normal cigarette lighter in a car, and then obviously that will go into the machine itself again, so that we can charge it if the car, or even obviously fitted into our own boat, wired in through the normal solar system. There is also the car charger there, so we could charge it up that way. So that's part number two, and that's everything in there. Let's hope they don't blow off into the canal. So let's delve into the main thing, the Jackery. First thing I must say is it's pretty light. I've not actually looked at the details. I would have said a couple of kilograms, something like that, maybe a little bit more, but I'll have a look and later on we'll confirm that. We'll have a quick look first off at what we've got on the front here. We've got an input, which I'm guessing is where we'll plug in either the solar panel or either of these chargers. We've then got two USB charging points, so they're the sort of thing that you use for charging your phone and obviously some laptops and things like that, tablets. You can charge those off there. There's two of those with what seems to be a switch, and we've got the normal plug, so obviously if we're wanting to run 240 volt equipment, that will come out of there. And then we've got the cigarette lighter type plug as well, so again if we're wanting to run things, a lot of things over here in the UK especially, it's things like sort of sat navs, satellite navigation, things like that run off that sort of thing these days, because a lot of equipment is now run direct from USBs. There's then also the display there, which I'm sure when we come to turn it on, that'll tell us everything that we need. Inside here then, there is a 12 volt lithium battery and a 200 watt pure sine wave inverter. The fact it's pure sine wave is quite important. If you're not aware of these sort of electronics, things like laptops and tablets need a pure sine wave inverter. The other inverters are what's called a modified sine wave, and basically they'll run things, if you like, sort of lights and stuff like that. I think more or less the best way of describing it is, if the product that you're wanting to run needs to do something, you need pure sine wave. If it's just simply running something, as in turning on a light, you can use modified sine wave. Pure sine wave is obviously then more expensive to modified sine wave, and this is 200 watt pure sine wave. The one key thing we do think that we will use this for is charging our laptop, because at the moment in the boat we haven't got a means of charging our laptop. We have got the battery bank, as I previously mentioned, and we've got a little tiny inverter, but it's not that pure sine wave. We do have to charge our laptop currently through a normal 240 volt outlet, which again, once we're out on the cut, we can't do that. So this thing might just be the answer to that. Let's see then, if we peel this cover off the display, let's see, what do? Do we just turn it on there? Ah, yeah. So, dead simple, that's turned the machine on, and it's telling me already we've got 39% charge, and looking at that, this top number here says input, and that's at 0 watts. The bottom one says output, and that's also at 0 watts. Even to the technophobe like me, that all seems fairly straightforward. That means we've currently got 39% charge, and that we've got no power going in and no power coming out. During the test we will test charging it up through the 240 volt mains and through the cigarette lighter input. But first and foremost, while we've got the sun, let's get this solar panel out and let's try charging it through the solar, see how long it takes to bring it up to the full 100%. Right, this is a folding solar panel. So obviously again, while you're out and about on your travels, you can fold it up, carry it around. Again, not too heavy. I'm not really sure I'd fancy if I were sort of climbing Snowdon or something, I'd want to be carrying that with me. But, you know, for a little walk along the canal towpath, it's probably all right. Clearly clicks together with some magnets, so it's not going to be flopping about. Let's have a look at this. Oh, that side's going to be, that's going to be the stand to hold it up when we want to use it. This another stand there, and let's have a look, there's some zips. Presumably, yeah, that's the cable. So like we say, in theory, that just plugs straight into that and it sets off doing its magic. And that will be a godsend if it does, to be honest, because like I say, I don't do technology where you have to start setting things up. Just as a quick note there as well, looking on this, where we've got the power input, there looks to be a USB and oh well, labelled up, I'm having a quick read, USB-A and USB-C charging points there. So I'm guessing if I were out and about and I wanted to charge my phone up, for instance, I can just set this up, not bother with that, and charge my phone direct from there. But we'll have a play with that later, because that could be quite an interesting little feature. So let's have a look then. I think we're going to set it up on here, because at the minute the sun's kind of coming round this way, and at the minute it's just coming over these trees, so we're just getting a few glimpses of sun. We'll get it set up on here. One thing it does say on the instructions is keep this out of the sun while it's charging. I've no real way of doing that here, so I think once I've got it all set up, I'm just going to have to put a board or something in front of it just to keep it in the way. That all zips back into there with the cable ready. We undo these, do the panel. This is probably a bit more awkward because I'm trying to do it on top of my boat. At that then, how that's currently set up, that sort of side is in the sunshine at the minute, that side's more or less shaded. Given a few minutes, it's going to pull it round, it's all going to be in the sun. Let's try the magic plugging in. That's it plugged in, and the little blue lights come on there. I'm assuming that says it's charging, and straight away on the display we've got input 18 watts, output 0 watts. Obviously, so we're pulling some power in straight away, and it's still set at 39%. It does say in the instructions, from completely flat to fully charged, with the solar panel in direct full sun, you're looking at around 5 hours to 5.5 hours charge time. So at the minute we're on 40%, so we need to put another 60% in there. And like I say, it's a bit of a cloudy come sunny day, but I'll monitor it as the day goes on, and we'll see just how long it takes to get up to 100%, and then we'll have a look, see what we can power off it. I must say, initial reaction is, it's looking like a good bit of kit. It seems solid, dead easy to put together, not overly weighty. There's nothing springing out to me at the minute that says it's a bad thing. Equally, the main test, as I said, that we want to do is it useful on a narrowboat where you've already got a full setup of solar? That's going to be the tester. It's now 10:45 then, and as you can see, I've set up, doing a little bit of work, including using my cordless crosscut saw. So one of the things we'll test at some stage in the next few days is just how well it charges these batteries up. You can see the piece of plywood I'm cutting there. And if we look up there, you can see how it's ended up putting the Jackery behind the solar panel, because that's keeping it in the shade. and we're currently showing 58%, pulling 22 watts. So in an hour that's gone up about 20%. And if we have a quick look up into the sky, you can see the sun is somewhat hidden. And as I said, during this hour it has kind of been like that on and off. The sun's kept coming out and going in. The most we were pulling at any one stage as I glanced at it was just over 60 watts, and the least was about 16 watts. But now the solar panel is in the full line of sight for the sun, so as and when it does break out from behind that clouds, it should be getting maximum efficiency. We'll now leave it and see how long it takes to get right up to the full 100% fully charged. We're now just after 1:15 in the afternoon, and the solar panel is currently in full direct sunlight. And if we look at the actual box itself, you'll see there it's on 99% charge. And quite surprisingly, you might think, it's only taking 8 watts of power from the solar panel, which, bearing in mind, for most of the day while it's been in direct sunlight, it's been averaging sort of 61 to 66 watts. So you might think that's a bit strange, but in actual fact that's a good thing, because the actual charge controller that's built in is what's known as an MPPT charge controller. And what that does is it senses what's coming in through the solar panel and what the fancy box of tricks needs. So what it's doing now is it's reducing that power that's going in to the Jackery, because it doesn't want to damage it by forcing a lot of power in right at the end. So it's kind of just gently filling it to its maximum charge. What I'll do now then is I'll just leave it to tick over onto the 100%, and then we'll do some tests on it. It's now around 7:15 in the evening, so I've swapped my cuppa that I had earlier for a beer. I think I've earned it today. Lovely. So we've got the Jackery, which I'll just give you a little bit of information about it now. Basically what I'd done sort of last night is I'd done a quick Google just to make sure as I opened the box I weren't going to do anything stupid and kind of blow it up. But I'd not properly read all the instructions. So now obviously it's all opened up and I've got the instructions out. I've had a quick look through it, which is kind of goes against like nature really, isn't it? We don't really read instructions, but few things jump out at it. The weight of it is 3 kilograms or 6.6 pounds. I think earlier when I took it out I said I thought it was perhaps a couple of kilograms, maybe a bit more, so I weren't far off. The capacity is 16.8 amp hour, 14.4 volts, which is 241.9 watt hours. So that gives you an idea as to what you can run. Obviously you can work out beforehand what you're thinking of running off it and seeing if that will do it. Obviously, just to clarify as well, this is the Jackery Explorer 240. They do also do larger units. They do a 500 and 1000, which are obviously bigger, contain bigger batteries, etc., with the bigger inverter. So if you think the product itself is good, but you think you need the bigger capacity, there's potentially one for you out there. The other bits that jump out in the instructions, it just tells you about the various ports that we'd already looked at earlier on there. Gives you the charging ranges of temperatures, which for normal everyday use I don't think there's any issues there. It also gives the life cycles, which it gives us over 500, which basically means the unit can be fully discharged and recharged 500 times before it's going to start affecting the life of the battery. Once you've got to that 500 times, it'll still work, it'll just not have the same capacity. So again, you can work out, I mean, if you were fully discharging and recharging every day, that's kind of going to last you less than a year and a half. If you're doing it once a week, that's kind of going to last you 10 years. So it's all about working out what your actual usage is and whether that seems right or not. I don't think on that page there's anything much more of interest then. We move on to this page and it does give a few numbers, and to be honest, for this sort of test that I'm doing, I'm not really looking too much at numbers. It's more about how the actual product works and whether it's suitable for use on a narrowboat that's got the solar and the charger and the batteries already built in. But if I just quickly run through, it says A car fridge, it reckons it can run that for about 19 hours. There's vast differences in all different fridges. The sort of fridge we've got here, it would probably struggle to even run it at all, and definitely won't get 19 hours out of it. That's more of a cool box type thing. It says for a drone, you could expect 4.5 full recharges of your drone battery on that. If you're wanting to charge something like a laptop, it reckons about 3.5 times it'll charge your laptop. That's a crucial one for us, because like we said, that's the main thing that we're going to be doing. And in fact, what I'll do now is I'll be plugging this in. If we just have a look there, pop the display on, like we said, it's now showing 100%. So if we plug that in and be turning our laptop on, oh, hold on, first mistake there, not turned the plug socket on. I was looking awfully confused then, weren't I? And yeah, that's now turning on. So that can be firing up while we're just having a quick look at this. So yeah, 3.5 full recharges of a laptop, around 3.5 hours of watching a 32-inch television. A smartphone, it reckons it can do around 25 full recharges. So if you've got your smartphone and you're going away for a few days, you could completely flatten and recharge your phone 25 times. And a camera, a motion camera as it calls it, around 45 recharges. So again, completely flatten and recharge your camera 45 times off one full charge of this. Again, there's a few examples of what they reckon it'll take to charge this up. That's wall charger, so plugging it into the normal mains, they reckon 5.5 hours. To charge with a solar panel is about 5 hours, weather dependent, crucially, and that would sort of tally into what we found earlier, the sort of time it took to get from how charged it was when we got it to fully charged, especially considering we didn't have perfect weather conditions. Car charger takes around 6.5 hours for it to charge to full, obviously from empty, and using a generator they'd expect it to take about 5.5 hours. Like I said, I'm not going to look too much more into those figures for the rest of this review, because we're not looking at figures, we're looking at what we would actually use on there. And I'm sure if they put them in the book, they're not going to be a million miles off anyway. So what I'm going to do for tonight is, I've got some editing to do on the vlogs. This vlog that you're watching, funnily enough. So my laptop was completely empty. I've drained it to absolutely no charge whatsoever. And this was full. So I'm going to be using this for most of the night. As you can perhaps see on my laptop, 6:45 at night. I'll not be on it all night. Probably turn it off around 10 o'clock. Maybe a bit later, maybe a bit earlier. But I'll monitor how long I am really on it for. And obviously keep an eye on that charge there. And we'll see by the end of the night what it's on. And what I'll probably also then do is, normally overnight, myself and Dawn charge our mobile phones up. So instead of charging them up on the system in the boat tonight, we'll probably charge them on this, providing there's some charge left in it. So I'm going to crack on, I'm going to have a drink of my beer, and we'll see how we get on with this test. Oh, swig of my morning brew. It's now about 20 past 8 the following morning, so obviously the 24th of August. And as we said last night, I had to go on the laptop using the Jackery to power it. A couple of things I will just point out before we get on to sort of how it performed. Whilst the Jackery is running, it does have a little fan on the side that kind of kicks in and out. It's not particularly loud and didn't cause any concern. I suppose it's obviously just there to keep the machine cool, just worth noting. The one thing I did miss as I was reading through the instructions last night though is, none of these are waterproof. You wouldn't really probably expect that to be waterproof. It's obviously got the plug sockets and things on it. It'd be very difficult to kind of make that fully watertight. But I'm surprised the solar panel itself's not waterproof. It does mean, obviously, if there's times when, say for instance, we're going to work during the day, if there's potential rain in that day, we can't leave it out and leave it charging. But then equally, I suppose, you're probably not going to be leaving it because it's not secured in any way. So anybody walking past could pick it up. But I'm just a little surprised that that's not waterproof, so it can be left out in the rain if needed. Just something to know. As I said, it might just affect how the product can be used. How did it all perform then? As we said, when we started using it last night, the laptop battery was completely flat and the Jackery was fully charged. I ended up actually using the laptop for around 3 hours. All that time it was plugged into the Jackery. So not only was it powering the laptop to charge that battery, it was also powering the laptop to use it. By the end of that 3 hours, the laptop itself was fully charged. And to be fair, had been from about an hour and a half into the test. The Jackery at that stage was down to 59% charge. So basically it had used 41% of the charge. That was to obviously charge the laptop up and to use it for the evening. The next test we're going to do on it is to basically see how much charge it uses just to charge the laptop itself, not including actually using it. Once I'd done all that, I decided it was time for bed. So I thought I'd charge my phone up on it overnight. I've got a Google Pixel phone, and at the time it was down to 25% charge. So I popped it on charge for the night, went to bed, got up this morning and found that the machine was down to 52%. So it had used 7% charge to fully charge my phone up. However, that's probably not a very accurate guide, because obviously the phone itself would have been charged within probably 2 hours, and then the machine's just sat there using a little bit of power itself, even though it wasn't actually charging anything. We'll probably have a look at charging a phone another day. Before we start any tests on it today, I want to get it back up to 100% charge, so we know where we're working from each time. I think though what I'm going to do is, instead of charging it through the solar panel, I'm going to try the 12 volt input. That's the one that goes into the cigarette lighter, as I showed you yesterday. We'll see how long that takes to get from 52% back up to 100%. Charging it with this plug on our system basically means it is really getting charged with solar anyway. Because like we said, we've got the solar panels on our roof that connect to the batteries, that is now in effect what's powering this. Straight away it's coming up. It's got 39 watts of power going into it, which is sort of about mid-range for what it was picking up yesterday, direct from that solar panel. So we'll leave it there and we'll see how long it takes to get from that 52% up to 100%. We're now approaching 12:30, so it's about 3.5 hours since we put that Jackery on charge, and I've been busy doing a bit of painting and sorting out down there. What I've also got is the laptop sat here, and as you can see, it's now currently flat again. No charge in that battery at all. The Jackery itself is now sat on 99% charge, still taking 23 watts. So I think it's going to be a few minutes before that ticks over to the 100%. But once it does, I'm going to put the laptop back on charge. But this time, I'm going to charge it up without actually having it turned on. I'm not going to be using it. I'm just going to see how long it takes to charge while sat there doing nothing. The Jackery is now showing 80% charge. So that means it's used 20%. It's difficult to tell if the laptop is actually charged or not, because obviously there's nothing to display the charge of it until I turn it on. So let's turn it on and have a look. The wattage that it was pulling had dropped down, so I'm thinking it's perhaps either charged or nearly charged. But let's have a little look. So if we look down there, we can see it's still accepting a charge. Let me just put the cursor on it. Oh, and that's saying it's 3 minutes to fully charged, which, give or take, is pretty much a full charge. So if we look back at that, that's on 80%. So it's going to use probably fractionally over 20% to fully charge the laptop, which by that sort of reckoning would mean we'd actually get 5 full charges out of the Jackery. But while we've got some charge in this, oh, and look, it's dropped down to 79%. Let's give it a few more little tests for today. I've got one of the batteries off the cordless jigsaw that I use. That's currently flat. Let's have a go at charging that up. So here is that battery, sat in its battery charger. And if we just zoom in on there, I'll just spin it around so we can see a little bit better. This is an 18 volt, 4 amp hour, 72 watt hour lithium ion battery from my Erbauer set of tools. So if we try turning that on, as we see, it's come on at 79% charge. The charger has kicked in, and we're showing we're pulling 83 watts. Oh no, we've gone up considerably. Batteries do take a lot of charge. So let's leave that and see just how much it takes out of this battery by charging that one. It took around 45 minutes then, and it's charged the battery up, as you can tell by the green light there. And that's about the sort of time it normally takes, so no real difference charging from the Jackery. And as you see, we're down to 43%. So overall, we've used 57% of the charge out of the Jackery, and for that, we've completely charged up a laptop and completely charged one of the batteries that we use on the tools. We're now on the Wednesday morning, so that's the 25th of August. After I'd finished charging that battery that I showed you there, I put another one on that was part charged, and it completely filled that one. And then I got the battery that was on that cordless chop saw that I showed you earlier, and again, that was part charged. Put that on, and it drained the Jackery down to 0%. So overall, we basically charged the laptop fully and the equivalent of probably about 2 batteries that we use on our cordless power tools from one full charge on the Jackery. I think then those tests show that yes, the Jackery can do pretty much all the charging jobs around the boat that we need it to do. We've seen it charge a phone, we've seen it charge the laptop, and we've seen it charge some of the batteries that we use for the tools that we use around the place. I don't think therefore there's any real question about whether this little box of tricks, the Jackery 240, can do what it says it can do. I think we can tick that box. The crucial test though is, can it do it on a regular basis as we need it to? So I think the final kind of little tests, if you like, are going to be over this next 7 days, where what I'm going to do is just sort of use it as I would. As we can charge it up, when preferably the sun's shining, using the solar panel there, or charging it up through our 12 volt charger, like I did the other day. We do have to bear in mind with that though, that those solar panels on our roof are there to charge the batteries under the stern of the boat. If we start drawing power from those to charge this instead, we could potentially have problems with not having our normal battery bank fully charged, especially on days like today when it's not exactly very sunny. Over the coming days then, I'm going to use our laptop as we normally do for that few hours each evening and just see whether the Jackery in effect can keep up with it. Can we keep enough charge in there and the laptop to be able to use it and replicate how we would be if we were out on the cut, not connected to the shoreline power. It's now Thursday the 9th of September, so we've had our Jackery Explorer 240 portable power station about 2.5 weeks. So after those initial tests, we've had plenty of chance to use it, in real time if you like, to keep our laptop charged, which is basically what we said when we first got the chance to use it. That's what we thought its key role on our boat would be. So how's it fared up? Well, I will say straight away, there's some good points and there's some not so good points. So I've made a few notes just to make sure I'm getting all this right, because to be honest, doing a review of a product, I want to make sure I put across exactly what we think in the right way, so I don't want to just wing it like we do with a lot of things. The unit itself then, we're more than happy with. does exactly what it says it should do in the instructions. The charging times, recharging times, etc. all seem to be there or thereabouts. Absolutely no problems with that whatsoever. There is one slight issue we do have though, and that's this. The solar panel itself. In itself, it again does exactly what it says it's supposed to do. Charges the unit up in the right times. The one main criticism I have of this is, it's not waterproof. And to me that just seems quite a big failing, because it's a piece of equipment that's designed to be used outside. And unfortunately over here in the UK, we do have a fair amount of rain. And it has meant a couple of times I've not charged it through this panel. I have plugged it into our main circuit so that we're charging it through our own solar panels. Because if I were going to work on days where there was potential rain forecast, obviously I couldn't leave this outside. And I suppose the other side to that is, this is a portable panel. So you're probably not going to leave it outside if you're not around. Like for instance, if you were on a campsite or you'd moored your boat up somewhere and you were leaving it, you wouldn't just leave this sat on the roof, because obviously, like I say, not fastened down, could easily be stolen. To me though, it's one major failing. And when you look at the price of it, for a 100-watt solar panel, which is what this is, it is relatively expensive. Jackery do put some offers and things on, which we'll come to shortly. But on the whole, this retails at around £250. For that same sort of price, you can buy a normal rigid 100-watt solar panel and the adapter so that it will fit into there. For I had a look on Amazon the other day, and it was £102 I could get the equivalent panel and the adapter. Which obviously that panel would also be waterproof and potentially could be fastened down. Which, like I said, that swings and roundabouts. The idea of this is portable, so you know, which one are you going for? To my way of thinking though, this section of the deal is perhaps the slight letdown. Like we said, perfect question marks over this bit. The crux of the question then is, do we feel we need one of these Jackery Explorers on our boat? And it's kind of a yes and a no answer. One thing that we can see it being really useful for, apart from charging the laptop, is this is almost an emergency power pack, if you like. Because of the sort of batteries that are in it, if we were to charge it up today and put it in a cupboard and forget about it, it only loses 3% of its charge every month. So that means even if we were to forget about it for 12 months and then we had a sudden power failure and something in our boat went wrong, we can get this out the cupboard, and at that rate it's still got sort of 2/3 of its charge left in there. I think that could be a great asset, especially in the middle of winter when we rely on batteries and things. You just never know. So from that point of view, it's a yes, we'd like it on the boat. Charging the laptop, equally it's a yes, it's done that job perfectly well. On the flip side to that, the money this costs, we could buy an inverter that would run our laptop anyway, but then you've not got the flexibility of taking it with you. The overall summing up then is, yes, it's a good product. That solar panel I'm not entirely convinced about. I think I'd be tempted to not buy that solar panel and put the money towards buying the next model up of this, which is the Jackery 500, which obviously gives you, in effect, twice as much power and a larger inverter as well. That'd be the way I'd be spending my money, I think. But that solar panel does have its uses, especially if you are wanting it to be more mobile. Like we said, we've recently bought the van that we are going to convert into a mini camper van. Obviously we've not had a chance to use that as yet, so we've not really tested this. Again though, I think what I would do with the camper van is mount a solar panel on the roof, a permanent one, and have this inside. Just to clarify as well, like was mentioned earlier in the video, Jackery have been around for around 9 years now. This is not some new product that's just come to the market and we're not really sure how it's going to fare in the longer term. There are lots of reviews and things, especially from the American side and Canada side, where people have had these and they've done the job perfectly well. The only reason they're kind of pushing them so hard, and lots of people are reviewing them on YouTube at the minute, is because they are just coming over to England, the UK and Europe as a whole. They're wanting to get people to see them. So therefore, I don't think it's kind of a risk in buying one. They're a well-established company, it's a well-tested product, and it does exactly what it's supposed to do. If you are interested in buying one, I've put links in the description below to Amazon, which is the place where you currently buy these from in the UK. The link on there is our affiliate link, and that's taking you straight to the latest deal that Jackery are doing, which at the moment they've got 8% off. That is obviously at the time of filming, and I believe that's staying on for at least a week. But obviously if you're watching this video at a later date down the line, click the link and it will still take you to the very latest deal that they're doing on these products. This is the first time we've reviewed anything on our channel. Obviously it's not something that we normally do, and it's not something I took light-heartedly either. We have been offered the chance to review other products in the past, but we've always said no, because they didn't fit to what we're doing. They didn't fit to life on a narrowboat or building a narrowboat up. But this is a product that obviously does have its uses on the narrowboat. Therefore, we said yes, we would test it. So thank you very much for watching. I know it's been a very different video to our normal ones. Join us next time when we'll get back on with rebuilding the boat. Thanks for watching, folks. Bye bye.